it's extra sensitive now, doesn't it? Just gonna watch around. Welcome to my show. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is for you. We're in the UK, so it is afternoon for us. I listened to a story the other day and I knew kind of about this story, but I didn't know it in full depth until I've spoken to this lady who I've got with me today. Really, really sad story. We're going to go through it from the start of their relationship and what a beautiful man this was. Welcome to Carol.
Hi, thank you, and thank you for giving me your time to watch this. Our story, mine and my late husband's story, started emotional.
That's all right, it's all right.
Oh, God, what's
I know,
happening?
it's fine. It's fine, take your time. Let's start off with how you met Darren.
Okay, we both
So I know there's an
met.
age gap, so let's go
There
there.
is a 11-year age gap, but I used to be a landlady, and one of my guests asked if his friend could come to have a drink, and I went yes, but only for an hour because I didn't like because I had 2 young children. And Darren turned up, and at first I thought he was a Mr. Know-it-all, and I didn't like him at first,
Okay.
and he knew I didn't like him, but he kept coming round. And I took it, he'd come to annoy me, but he didn't. We actually grew quite close very quickly, to the point where next minute we were in a full-blown relationship. He took on the role of being a stepdaddy to my 2 sons, and we went on to have our daughter Kelly. Moving on now, we've been together for 35 years, and
What was the age gap between you and Karen? Sorry, Darren.
when I met Darren, he was 20, and I was 31.
But very young-minded, 31, take it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And the children were how old, the boys?
Well, Lee and Kevin were both below 9 years of age,
Oh,
because there's only a year between them.
Okay.
They actually thought he was great because he was young, he played football with them.
Yeah.
He took them in his car and showed
He's a
off.
great
And
guy.
he was a good guy, and his parents accepted us straight away. There was
No problems.
no problem. So we've had a good relationship, we've had many years of happiness. Yes, we've had our up and downs, but mainly we were a strong couple together, and in spirit he's still my husband. It'll never change.
Mm.
So we're going now to 2022,
Right.
and we were living in Charlesmore because I was looking after his mum throughout COVID. Darren moved in with me, but his mum died on Darren's birthday, which was November the 3rd, and he had, all of a sudden, he had this mark on the bottom of his leg, just above his ankle, and it looked like a kiss, but in little prickly spots, and it was quite raised.
Like when you get the hives on your skin.
Like hives.
Yes.
So he went to see the Dr. Klein, and she said, actually, that's hives, and get them cream.
Mm-hmm.
Once he started using the cream, that's when it got worse.
Oh, okay.
It really got worse, and she said stop using it.
Right, okay.
So she referred him to dermatitis at the hospital. They were treating him. Oh, they said it's dermatitis, don't worry. This was going on for 4.5 months, and within that time, it didn't just stay there. He lost his toenails. He was losing all his skin. Was just like if you've got sellotape on your skin and you pull it, the skin was coming off. So I was nursing him at the time, and we're both grieving the death of his mum.
Yes.
I asked for help. District nurse come in, could only give me 20 minutes.
Right.
That didn't give her enough time to take the whole dressing off.
Yeah.
So they ended that support straight away.
Wow.
We were going for blood tests, nothing was showing up. Then on the 5th, 6th month, I went to the consultant in the room, and he had a student doctor with him,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, could you please just to do a biopsy because this isn't dermatitis, because it smells.
Yeah.
And there was blue and black gunge coming out. Every time I took the dressing off,
Yeah.
I was feeling sick. And
So
the
at this
smell-
point now, it was where to where about is just below
It's
his knee.
just below his knee.
Okay.
So he's absolutely, and this is the point where he's struggling to walk now.
Yeah.
Because the skin off the bottom is
Had
fully
it
gone.
swollen in any kind of way, or was it just the same?
No, it's swollen, but as soon as all the gunge come out,
Yeah.
you could see it coming down.
Right. Okay.
So we're talking green and black gunge.
So when it kind of released out of it,
It
took it down a
eased
bit.
it, yeah.
Mhm.
Constantly he was scratching, so I had to buy him special gloves. So we went back to the, by now a month later Dan can't walk now because he's got no skin on his feet. So I took him to the hospital appointment in a wheelchair. Because we weren't getting free dressings, I was just using what I could. The consultant looked at Dan, he went, oh okay, and I went, can we do this biopsy? And he went, listen, you're not a doctor, you're not a consultant, Mrs. Barker, this is dermatology, this is what he's got. And I said, well, I disagree. And he just looked at me, to me and said, say, you silly lady.
Yeah, just dismissed.
Just dismissed me. And
Yeah.
my husband at this time, he couldn't speak for himself.
Mm.
He just felt he was
Shutting down.
he'd shot down mentally that much.
Yeah.
He couldn't talk properly.
Mm.
So they said no, and then I phoned up the secretary a month later and said, could you please get us in for a biopsy because one of his testicles, he went to the toilet one evening, he screamed. And when I went into the toilet, there was blood everywhere. It was, I mean, it looked like somebody had been killed in there. It was all over the system on the toilet, it was up the wall. This is a walk-in shower facility
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
It was everywhere, and he went, my genicle is just burst open. It wasn't hurting him though.
Yeah. There's
He
obviously-
he was in shock, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all I could see was his testicle, it was just skin. That was it.
Jesus.
And a big lump on the floor that was like
Crazy.
pulsating.
It's like a goddamn horror movie.
To me, I thought, we're in a horror movie, this can't
Yeah,
be real.
this can't be real.
So I phoned up the hospital. No, I phoned up Dr. Klein. She said, right, I'll phone the hospital because I
Yeah.
know it quick if I do it.
Yes.
We waited 8 hours, and all the time I was putting pads underneath him to stop the bleeding. By the 7th hour, it started to conceal. It was like jellying over.
It's like
So I
a
thought,
clot. Yeah.
yeah, I thought, oh, it stopped now.
Yeah.
They turned up an hour later, rushed him in on lights. He waited in the A&E for 8 hours before he was told, we'll stitch your genicle up, Mr. Barker, but we're sending you home because you've got an appointment at 9 o'clock tomorrow with dermatology and you need to go to that appointment.
I can't believe that.
So they sent him home in a taxi, which I paid for on the way. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
The poor guy had no sleep.
I mean, imagine. I mean, a man to lose his testicle.
And to lose he's thinking, is my next one going to go while I'm waiting
Yeah.
here? Am I going to die?
Now, guys, you have to remember that this guy was at this age was only in his
54.
54 years of age.
So they sent him home. I was absolutely furious now. So he was exhausted. I put him to bed and I let him sleep. And I phoned up dermatology, told him what happened. They weren't bothered basically. But I was sending an appointment out.
Yeah. Okay.
They did actually send us for a special blood test,
Mhm.
which was to do with leukemia, all these
different things.
these things.
Okay.
Well, it takes 6 weeks to get results, and I
Too long.
said to the lady, we haven't got that time,
Mm.
and he said, I'm worried that I haven't got time, and he said if I didn't have my wife and my dogs and my family, because he loved our dogs, he said I would try and commit suicide because I'm dying. And the lady, she had tears in her eyes, and I went, I'm losing my husband in front of you. she actually got emotional.
Did she?
And she nodded her head because
She knew.
she knew. And she said, I'm sorry, but the results have to go to some professor in London.
Okay.
We said, fine.
Because they did not know what this
They
was
did not
at
know
all. Even though you had your suspicion
was
that you thought it was
cancer.
cancer.
Because the smell was that chronic.
Yeah.
The flies would follow him everywhere. Because we're talking summer months.
Yeah, yeah.
In the end, he lost his fingernails. He lost everything, all up here, all up his chest. He looked like a mummy by the time I'd bandaged him up. He was going up to bed in his own room because the smell, it wasn't able for me to physically lay next to him in case I hurt him.
Yeah.
And the smell was so strong. So I was always in the room next door. So we're coming now to the Saturday and we're not getting no support still. And my daughter brought us some cream cakes over, some sandwiches because she had a celebration. Dan wasn't well enough to go out anymore. And that day he had a cake. I said, which one would you like, Dan? Oh, I'll have the strawberry one. And he seemed to be getting better.
Yeah, because before that you said he hadn't been eating.
He had not been eating. I had to keep getting him to drink.
Force feeding him.
And he was barely speaking.
Okay.
And you've got to remember it was going up. So in the end, part of his nose was dropping. It dropped off on the Saturday.
Okay.
It just literally
just fell off
and bled. So I'm not a qualified nurse. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing what I can to nurse
to make him comfortable.
To make him comfortable and do whatever it takes. He's my husband. So Saturday night we watched. I actually sat with him. He wanted me to sit with him. Usually he was in bed by 8, 9. We sat up till 11 o'clock. We watched The Voice and Gogglebox. We had a laugh. But before Gogglebox come on, we watched The Voice with Tom Jones. Dan doesn't normally watch these things, but he watched it.
Yeah.
And Tom Jones wrote a song about his wife who was dying at the time.
Okay.
And it basically sung, if I won't crumble it when you fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we both sat there and I got emotional. Darren, he was never emotional.
No.
But he actually was crying. And my German Shepherd got up and sat next to him and he just looked at Darren as if he could see something. His eyes were bulging. So I told Jake to get away because Dan was like, what's the matter?
Yeah.
It was upsetting
It was
Darren.
upsetting him because the dog had come over.
Yeah.
We weren't usually
So,
like that.
At 11 o'clock he said, right, I'll go to bed now. I went, well, I'll put the cups away and I used to have to help him upstairs.
Okay.
He went, no, I'll be all right. I'll be, you can meet me by the stairs. But by the time I come out the kitchen, it was a big house. But by the time I got through to the landing, this bottom of the landing, he was already halfway up.
Okay.
He went up on his bum, very, very slowly. And I went, I'll get you into bed. He went, no, I'm all right. I went, okay.
Wow.
I still come up. I went to the toilet. By the time I come out, he was in bed.
So he picked up this strength from nowhere.
He picked up this strength and he smiled at
Yeah.
me. I left him a glass of water with a straw in it.
Is that a routine thing? You
That
got
was
to
the
do?
routine while he was ill, and I put the commode by his bed because he couldn't get to the toilet.
Yeah.
I went to bed and I had a really good night's sleep because I thought, yes, I've got my husband back. He's going to be so much better tomorrow. This nightmare's ending.
Yeah.
So I slept like, first night in all this time, I had a night's sleep without broken sleep because I was always listening out for him.
Yeah.
I woke up about 7 in the morning and Darren always used to say, no matter what, you get them dogs out before you come to me.
Okay.
Dogs always come first with Darren. I'd got the dogs a quarter of the way by Quinton Park and someone told me to go back straight away. So I listened to my gut feeling.
Yeah.
And I got back very quickly with the dogs. I legged it upstairs. And as I went upstairs, the mirror on the walls reflected Darren on the bed opposite. And all I could see was he was all like curled up. He couldn't move. And for a minute, I was like, am I dreaming? And then I went over and I looked at him and went, can you talk? And all he could move was his eyes
No
at the
way.
time. He was like,
Oh my gosh,
No.
I bet you was like, what has happened now?
through sheer panic, instead of phoning the ambulance, I know you're all going to say what, but I phoned my daughter through panic. She went, have you phoned the ambulance? No, because I'm phoning you, I'm panicking.
Yeah.
We both phoned for an ambulance and the ambulance was there within 4 to 5 minutes
That was good.
with the lights on.
That was good.
They come in, they
Yeah.
seen he was dying and they got him out straight away, but when they looked at the commode, they knew by the colour of the urine, he must have got up about 1:30.
Okay.
And they reckoned that when he turned around to sit back on the bed, he had an explosion on both sides of his brain.
That's what I mean, these things are never
The
heard of.
stroke wasn't just what, it was both.
Both sides.
So they rushed in, they worked on him all the way there. We got there was quite a lot of ambulances waiting with stroke patients in. We were met by doctors and all sorts. They got him in and they're working on him
Yeah.
and they're giving him injections, all sorts. They got me out of the way to try and get him stable. They said they were putting him on a stroke ward, which was a shock to me.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
like,
because
it's really all become
Yeah.
shock.
yeah.
We hadn't had
And
diagnosis.
you didn't have the
by that.
diagnosis
No.
at this point.
So I was sat in the room with the stroke doctor and he said he's had an explosion on both sides, which is so rare for them.
Yes.
All they can do is keep him alive.
Okay.
Now, they said the next 72 hours are crucial, he may die within that time, so
Okay.
prepare yourself. So I did, and
Yeah.
I phoned my daughter and they all come up.
Right.
I went on the stroke ward and his heart rate was that low, I thought he was actually going to go there and then.
Right, okay.
And the nurses were going, you come with me, get a meal, because I'm not eating all day,
Yeah,
I've not
yeah.
had a
What's
drink.
the last thing you want to do?
And I must have looked pale,
Yes.
and they're like, you have to come with us. And I went, no, my husband needs your help, not me.
Yeah.
So they brought food to me, I couldn't eat it.
Yeah.
They brought me loads of little pots of
no,
orange juice.
yeah.
I had one drink and I felt sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So every time the doctor come in, I went to touched him, his heart rate went from really low up to dangerously high. Everything was going mental. I think they couldn't move him to a cancer ward because he wouldn't have made it.
No.
So 5 days later, my husband he's being fed by tube now. His skin, they didn't even take off the dressing that I put on.
No.
No, they just said it was a waste of time. The only dressing they took off was of his hands and his arms.
Okay.
And you could see the skin was actually regrowing.
Oh.
So I thought, well, he's got to be getting better.
Yeah.
So I questioned and they went, no, that will happen. Don't take it as a positive.
And I think when you go through losing somebody, your mind goes into some mad overdrive. You know, you go, for me, it was like, you go into this place where you think, they're going to be okay. I'm a
positive person anyway,
Yeah.
because Maggie
Yeah.
knows me very well, but I was hanging on to that little bit of hope, and it was a horrible feeling because it was like I was being dangled a bit of string, here you go, Carol, and I was just
holding on to it, hoping for the best.
We took all family photographs, so he was tube fed, we couldn't do a lot for him. Everyone went up to see him, spent time, his boss went up, all his old friends, new friends visited. They knew it was the last time they were seeing him.
Yeah.
On the Saturday before me and Kelly left, the doctor called me and said, in a positive way, we're letting Dan come home on Monday or Tuesday. We've got to arrange for you to get daytime care, but you can look after him at night.
Okay.
I thought, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I'm not a
Still
nurse.
no answers though.
Still no answers as to how am I supposed to treat?
Yeah,
what am I supposed
nothing.
to be doing? Because he wasn't even passing urine
No.
or anything at this
And they didn't say to you end of life care.
end of life care. They didn't explain it, which my daughter's done end of life care. I have.
Yeah.
you get told
They
these
get told
things.
this when they go home.
So I was like, oh, now I'm still in shock, and it may seem I'm being a bit dizzy, but it's the way
No, it's not. It's
I
not
was
at all.
reacting.
Yeah.
I regret telling Darren, because when I went back onto the ward, I know Kelly was there and Kevin, I went, Dad, you're coming home Tuesday, they're going to give us some care, and I'm going to make sure you're all right, because I'll look after you through the night. And his eyes went from kind of like that up to as wide as he could get them. I took that as he didn't want to come home.
Because he
He
didn't know
didn't
what's
want
wrong with him.
me to
Yeah, to have to care.
'Cause
Well,
I-
to do everything you've been already doing.
I've already looked after his mum for
Yeah.
throughout the COVID, and she ended up dying.
Yeah.
I'd looked after my own mother before and she
Okay,
died.
yeah.
So
He didn't want that
he
burden
didn't want
on
me
you.
to go, and he knew it. I couldn't
Yeah.
help him. He knew it. So,
But imagine being there in that hospital bed.
and he can't talk.
You don't even know what he's got. All he knows is that he's dying, but you don't know what
He
from.
doesn't know why he's dying.
It's crazy.
So we went home Saturday night, and all night I'm thinking, right, I'll get the jet out. I'm cleaning till 1 o'clock
Yeah.
Sunday morning, and then I went to bed.
Okay.
I think it was my way of
Yeah.
getting
Coping.
tired.
Your way of coping.
I had a phone call at 6:30 in the morning off my daughter, not the hospital. My daughter said the hospital have rang me, calling me his wife,
Wow.
and said, your husband, to my daughter, is in cardiac arrest. We are working on him. And she went, well, I'm his daughter, but I'll let my mum know.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter rang me. She got, how quick, she got to me in
Yeah.
Charlesmore from Walbrooks to Walsgrave, and when we got there, the doctor just got us into the side room, went through Dan's files.
Okay.
And Kelly and me, and I'm like, excuse me, I know his history, I'm the one that's been looking after him.
Yeah.
And he went, well, and I went, no, all I want to know from you is my husband alive, or has he already died?
Yeah.
And straight away, well, if you're going to be aggressive, and I went, I'm not being aggressive, I want to know if my husband's alive or dead. I don't want to go through his paperwork.
Yeah. So that's you rushed up the hospital. You
And,
want
and Kelly went,
See
we've
it.
just rushed here, my mum wants to know, and I want to know if my dad's alive or
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't answer me, and he kept fiddling with his badge, and the nurses sat down. I said, are you not going to tell me? And he went, would you like me to phone security? And the nurse looked at him, and I looked at the nurse, and I went, fair enough, I'll go and find out myself. And I walked out that room. They allowed me to walk down onto the ward. The curtains was around his bed. I went like that with his curtains, and the nurses, they're cleaning up. And I touched him, and they said, you have to get out. And I went, this is my husband. Yeah, but you're going to disturb everyone else. And I felt like saying, sod them, they're asleep.
Yeah. What
He was stone cold solid. He hadn't just passed away, he'd been passed away for hours. And I think they were trying to cover that up.
Yes.
And that's why they didn't want me to see
Okay.
him straight
Right.
away.
Yeah.
So I realised he'd gone. That's not down,
Yeah,
he's gone.
he's
His
gone now.
spirit's actually gone. Went back into the room, and Kelly looked at me, and I went, he's stone cold, solid, concrete, dead, Kelly. And she went, you what? And the bloke just got up like that. And he went, take the two ladies to one of the room, and we'll bring him through. You have to wait in there. And I went, well, my husband's died, and you said he was in cardiac arrest. And that you were, oh, and he walked off. So we seen him pushing down by this room that we were
Yeah.
in. He come in, they offered us a cup of tea, which is normal.
Well, that's normal procedure.
Now, me and Kelly are not at the mental capacity now to start firing questions. That nurse
They
has
had
been
to
on
learn,
all
yeah.
night. She will get into trouble if she starts
Yes,
talking to
yes.
us. So, working for the NHS, I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
So, my daughter and I just looked at nurse and I went, he's been gone ages, Amy. And she didn't say yes, no, she just went, put her head down.
I just don't understand
And you
that.
could see she wanted to talk to you,
Yeah.
she knew
She knew she couldn't.
couldn't. So, as we come out the room, I said, oh, I want his name. I'm reporting this. And I said it to
Yeah.
her. And I said, what's his name? and she couldn't tell me.
She would
So I seen him, and he seen me, and I went, could I have your name please? And he put his badge straight away inside his shirt. He did it. This doctor, I found out through the nurse, she said his agency, and that's all he would say. She didn't know his name. All she knew was he was agency.
Yeah.
So I believe that she didn't know his name.
Yeah. She
I-
probably would have known his
Because
name.
she walked us out, she could
Yeah,
have easily
Of
told
course
me.
she could have, but she didn't want to get in that mix up
No.
of it, you see.
So I went, you're going to give me a name? He went, no. And I went, it's on his notes. I said, well, and he had his notes. I went, can I have the notes then, please? He went, no, they're private property. I went, but that's my husband's notes. How is it private? I'm his wife. And he just walked off. As if to say, silly lady. He looked at me and said, go away, silly. We and Kelly walked out of the hospital. Now we're both, my daughter's quite,
She's a tough cookie, ain't she?
She's
She
tough
wouldn't really show
cookie.
anything on the outside.
but she just was like me. We were both in a state shock. As soon as I come out of the hospital, I needed a cigarette. And as I lit my cigarette, all of a sudden, and there's not a soul about.
Yeah.
Now we're talking 7:10, 7:15. The sun suddenly come through all these clouds, and there was all these colours. And it was like a rainbow, but it was coming towards us.
Yeah.
And I went, wow, look at that, Kelly. And she went, that's my dad.
Oh.
And then I went, it is your dad. He's guiding us.
Yeah.
She don't smoke
No.
cigarettes,
No.
so she went, can I have a fag more? So I was shocked.
Yeah.
So we both had a fag. We come back and we had to tell the family and everybody. They were in total shock. And then a week later, we had a letter from this professor in London
Right. Okay.
to say that my husband is suffering because he didn't know Dan had passed away. He went, your husband is suffering from very, very rare skin cancer. We don't know how you get it, but there's no cure. We could only have offered him radiation, and that would have given him a few years, up to 5.
But
Can you
it's...
say the name because I can't?
No, I'm going to, at the end of the interview, I'm going to write the write-up of what the cancer is called, because I can't even say it. I've never
It's
heard of
Markle
this cancer.
cell,
Yeah,
something.
But I'll write up on there, you know, what this cancer was. It's very, very rare.
It's very rare to the point that even now they haven't got any cure for it.
But even if they gave you, you know, even that name at that time would have gave you some peace.
Yes, it would
Some
have
closure.
I would have thought, right, that's what
Yeah,
was eating.
and then we said, okay, we're going to put him on radio. We might only give him 3 years, 4 years, but you know, there's
he would have gave that.
there's a method to that madness where you would have been like, okay,
And Dan would have been prepared for what was
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
happen to him.
he's gone now.
He's
and he
gone,
doesn't even know.
and he didn't even know why.
Yeah.
All I know is this cancer, it eats from within and out. It's horrible. And they look like ulcers that have burst, but then you get all this green and
Yeah.
and the smell is horrendous. When we got back, me and Kelly kept talking, saying, did we actually hear what we were both in?
Yeah.
You know how you question yourself?
Yeah.
No, was it the way we were
Was it
perceived?
Earth or it?
We were trying to make excuses for this doctor,
No.
but we couldn't.
No.
I have put complaints in, by the way, but they said
You do.
it could take about you could
Yeah.
be passed away yourself. I went, I don't care. I want to know why they failed Darren, because
They did
although
fail him.
radiation would have allowed him to live longer,
Yes. And he probably wouldn't have been in all that pain
And
as
he was
much
in-
as well.
and the only thing he had for pain relief was paracetamol.
God, is that all he had?
And he even got told off at the hospital in front of me for scratching, which you scratch
Yeah.
constantly. It's like
Neglect.
a million ants in
Yeah,
your
imagine.
body,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
constant. And I told the nurse off, I went, because he's on a stroke ward, they're not looking at him as
Yeah,
cancer
yeah, of course,
patient.
yeah.
All
They
right.
don't even know.
And I went, excuse me, he's got cancer. Do not dare talk to him like that again.
Yeah.
And Kelly went, calm down. This was a week before, when he first gone in,
Yeah.
went, how dare you? Because I had to speak for him.
So how do you feel now? I mean, he's been gone. How long's Darren been gone?
Well, from the start of this rash was at the end of November to he died the 1st of October. I just wish that
It wasn't even a year.
It wasn't even a year. I mean, his mum died on his birthday the year before, and then he died so close to his mum. He lost his dad as well.
What's this done to you as a person?
It's made me, well, I am angry, and I can't grieve because I can't process it. I can't begin to understand why they didn't do the biopsy when I first asked for it. They made me feel like I was just a silly person. I didn't know anything, and I've worked in mental health all my life.
Yeah.
You asked me a question on mental health, I can give you the answer.
Yes.
Physical health, I haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
I'm angry, I want to cry, I really do. I've got this lump here and it's constant. I want to clear that lump so I can cry, but it's not going. And I don't think I can cry till I get a full report on. I did hear that there was 15 failings, what the hospital people have told me that's dealing with it.
Yes.
But they said because it's 15, with the blood department, dermatology, every department is involved, literally.
It's going to take a long time.
It's going to take a long time. And the only person that I felt supported us was Dr. Klein.
Okay.
Because Dan would phone, well, I'd dial the phone and he'd go, I'm in so much pain. And she's going, until we get diagnosed, I can't even prescribe you.
They're in a situation themselves.
But I think she knew this was not dermatitis.
Yes.
Yeah. But I just want to put out there, this started off as a tiny thing on the bottom of his leg. And within months, it was eating his legs away. He'd lost his feet. This was a 54-year-old healthy man who
very healthy.
Did a lot for charity. You know, he jumped out planes, you know.
Yeah, he did a lot.
He did a lot for charity, and his dogs they were his life. And when he couldn't walk them anymore, and I had to get a job as well because I had to keep the bills going. Yeah. For both of my houses as well. Yeah. He felt guilty that I'm looking after him, going out 5 hours a day to work, coming back, cooking. But in between the time I couldn't be there, my son was coming up in the morning. I used to wave to him as he passed me going to look after Darren, because he couldn't get himself up to get a drink. He couldn't get himself to the toilet, although it was downstairs. Then Kay would come after work, and then she'd wait till I got home, and that's how we had to
move together as a family unit.
My next door neighbours, my neighbour grew up, Darren, he couldn't do enough if he needed to knock the wall. I feel that they've let him down, but most importantly of all, they're still letting people down. There's so many cancers out there, especially since COVID. I don't know what's going on.
No.
But my brother died 6 months after Darren died.
Right.
He was a healthy man, and he got diagnosed with bone cancer.
Right. And
he died within 6 months.
On that note, I mean, it was a great, brilliant, not a great story, nobody wants to go through that, but your story is like a really touching story for me. I just feel on that note, if you get any kind of rash, any kind of pimple, any kind of mole, anything, and you go to the doctors and they say, oh, that's fine, it's just this. If you feel it's not right and you have a gut feeling that something's not right with your body, you need to take that further. They are just doctors, you know. Some of them don't know anything. Oh, don't get me wrong, they've been to university, you know, they've done all this to be a doctor. Yes, we know that. But they don't know everything. If something doesn't feel right within your body, take it further. Don't stop until you get a result. And that's what you need to do. 1 in 2 are dying of cancer now. It is a lethal disease. I can't believe how many people I've spoken to or how many people I know have got cancer. I can't stress enough, you know, you're only here once. If you think something's not right with your body, go and get it checked out and don't stop until you get the answers you need.
I mean, I was begging for answers, and this is the point. Don't give up, because
Don't give up.
they made me feel like I was stupid. I used to come out there thinking, oh, what you done, Carol? And Dan would go, no, you were right.
Yeah.
But he lost the will to argue,
Yes.
and he was relying on me.
To do
And I
that
mean,
for him.
I must have phoned up dermatology, the secretary, to get new appointments, because I could see it was just in the way.
Yeah.
And I phoned up over 2 days once. I think I was phoned 80 times, left messages. She was never, ever behind a desk.
Yeah.
That frustrated me.
And that's another fact as well. NHS are under so much pressure. You know, we're not trying to say that, you know, the majority of them aren't doing their jobs. They are under so much pressure. But people shouldn't be missed. People should be looked at and checked out thoroughly. You know, we only have one life. So on that note, I'm going to finish off. Thank you so much for doing that interview for me.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
And you try and get back to the old Carol.
I will, I'll try.
Yeah, you'll try. Gassy Mag Show, peace out, please watch this interview and leave any comments or any questions you'd like to ask, put it on there. I'd appreciate it. Gassy Mags, peace out.
Thank you.
I love you on the weekends with your tired eyes. Leave before sunrise. I don't wanna stay. Tryna keep it at the deep end. This is where love dies. I got you tongue-tied.